Caller from 404, you're on live with the Black Channel.
How you doing tonight? Am I clear?
Yes, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Curtis from Atlanta. Wow, Mr. Jason, you're saying a lot. I just want to share a couple of things. You're touching on this. I just want to briefly share my experience. I'm speaking as a former treasurer of a nonprofit organization, and I stepped down from that position due to the misappropriation of funds. So when you talk about churches, and I've mentioned before on your broadcast about purge the churches, a lot of our community are unaware about the misappropriation of money. The other thing, I'm on a board. As an entrepreneur, I'm looking at where do we get skilled people from. So as I look to grow my operation, I went back to the school that I graduated from over 20 years ago. And the dirty little secret here in Atlanta is they have conveniently taken all of the trades out of the high schools and moved them into the prison system. And this goes back to what you were saying, how black people look out for themselves.
Well, let's be very clear about that. Let me stop you right there. Let me be very clear about that. That happened 25 years ago. And that's not just Atlanta. I mean, that's a federal thing. Of all the things that Reagan and other people could have cut in the federal budget, they want to cut education. And what they did was they started going after, they said the school should be about reading, writing, and arithmetic, and everything else was fair game. It was open season. So home economics, they got rid of that 20 years ago. The carpentry classes, the machining, architecture, all those things, they got rid of those decades ago. The only thing that's really left in the schools now, to the extent that they have them, is music. But everything else was tossed overboard. So not just in Atlanta, this is everywhere. And you're correct. Yeah, you don't have it at the high schools anymore. You don't have it at the elementary schools anymore, except certain private schools. But the public schools, no, we talk about how the kids don't have trades, but yet you removed all of those from the schools. The only ones who know how to do it are the illegals. Or if you go to prison, you got a chance to learn to be a seamstress. You can be a tailor. They make clothes in prison. They make auto parts. You can be a farmer. You can be a welder. You can be a carpenter. All those trades they tell you the folk need, automotive repair, you can learn all that if you do a 5 to 10 year bid and won't owe any student loans. By the way, and here's the cherry on top, and you won't owe any student loans. Now, assuming you don't get shanked in Chow Hall, but I mean, imagine that. You could do a 5-year bid and come out better than these kids in high school. And yes, with Atlanta being a mostly black-run school system, although not really, to be totally honest, it's not really black-run. But I do get your point that you got enough people there that this shouldn't be going on. But absolutely, you're absolutely correct. They don't have it in the schools anymore, but if you get a felony, you might have an opportunity to get some usable skills.
You are 100% correct, because I've only been on this board for a year, and I'm sharing this because I'm in my early 40s and I'm Generation X, and I can't believe how we're being sold out by the older generation. Do you know the reason that they gave me why all these programs are no longer available in the Metro Atlanta Tech schools? The schools are run by women, and they felt like the office skills were more important than your plumber, your electrician. You follow me? And so what happened was they said, yeah, you know what? We need to put those prisoners to work. They got a live-work project under the Department of Corrections for Georgia, and it's exactly what you said. They send our young men down the road. They've partnered with technical schools in those areas where those prisons are, bus them to the prisons, give them a skill, and guess who partners with those technical schools? The state, the county, local government, and nonprofit organizations. It's a dirty game that this next generation is up against. It's a dirty game, Jason.
Brother, you got to remember something. We as black people are not at all suspicious of folk who are allowed to get into, quote, positions of power. When you've got Kamala Harris, when you got Stacey Abrams, when you got the mayor of Atlanta, that chick with the funny name, I forget.
You're talking. I know you're talking about the mayor of Atlanta. I can't think of her name right now.
Yeah, the current
immigration. Go ahead.
Yeah, the current mayor of Atlanta. She's the one with the funny name. And
Bottoms.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Bottoms. Mayor Bottoms. My God. Okay. Anyway, so in a situation like this, brother, we have to sit up here and say to ourselves, hey, don't you understand that they're going to put folk in positions of power who hate black folk as much as you do? You got a school system run by a bunch of black women who hate black men as much as Governor Deal does. Why else would he allow them to get there? And then, after letting them get there, tried to indict and imprison as many of them as he could. Unless we've all forgotten about the school scandal, where they were giving kids bogus grades and passing them along. They let you do that for decades and then came to imprison you. They let you destroy the school system and then came along later, decades later, and rounded up and tried to imprison as many of you as they could. Don't you understand that that's called tying up loose ends? Instead of sending a hitman like they do in the movies to go and kill you, to silence you, they instead have sent you all to prison. They used you to sabotage your own sons and daughters in the public school system. And then, after you've done that, they send the hitman, the prosecuting attorney who can't put a police officer in prison. They catch the police on video murdering people, can't get him in prison, but they can get all your damn teachers who were helping you cheat on them tests and giving you passing grades you weren't supposed to have. They got all of them in prison. They were able to indict all of you. They were able to successfully get that done. And oh, the cruel irony of it. You're supposed to be teaching the kids to keep them out of prison, and now you're going yourself. And yes, that's Mayor Keisha Bottoms. That she's pre-named for porn. But understand something. If they let you stay there, if they put you in that position, it's because they know you're safe. They know you're safe. They would not be trumpeting you if they didn't. And they monitor this down to the... Don't you know that the white supremacists monitor the school boards, man? They want to know what's coming out of them schools. They want to make sure that their children have always got the edge. So they monitor these schools to see exactly what's coming out of them. They absolutely want to know what is coming out of these schools. Because their futures depend on it. Their futures depend on this. So, brother, it's not accidental. It's manipulated, and you are surrounded. When you're a black person who goes into a government job, don't you know that a government job, that is the house Negroes? Now, you know they don't have much, right, but don't you know them Negroes will kill you over their little government job, just like T.D. Jakes. T.D. Jakes would run every single one of us off the road. You know why? Because if that Negro loses his preacher man hustle, what else is he going to do? Oh, he's gonna put drain cleaner in our Kool-Aid. He's gonna put cyanide in our cornflakes. He's gonna do whatever he's got to do, because there is nothing after this. There is nothing. And we don't get that.
Jason, that's the power. What you're saying, the power of being an entrepreneur and being financially independent, that's the only way I'm able to go in and speak truth to what you just call house Negroes. That's the beauty on the other side. Everything you're saying, I couldn't do this if I wasn't my own business owner and nobody tells me what to do. I'm trying to help the community, and then I'm seeing what you're just explaining to the youth. This thing is not just Europeans against us. It's our own people being okay with policy, being pushed against their own kids. It's sickening.
I'll let you have the last word.
The only thing I wanted to share when you touched on inheritance, If you live in the state of Georgia, 19-7-22 under the OCGA, if you pay child support and you don't have legal rights to your kids inherit nothing. And so this goes back to these nonprofit organizations in this state. They're not promoting legal rights to these men. They're promoting the child support system. Your child can't inherit if you don't claim it from the state. That's how gays are claiming your kids and raising them. Black men, wake up. Ignorance to the law is no excuse. Love you, bro.
Black First, brother, thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight.